Welcome everybody. Nice to meet you and thank you for being with us today. As you know, we are going to present pioneering generative AI in service design. The agenda that we will follow is, as you can see at screen, composed by a welcoming introduction, like now. We will have an intervention about premises and the overview, so the didactic point of view of this experience that we would like to share with you today. Then we will deep dive into the structure and the development of the lab, so basically how it worked. The lab, we will go in to share some final thoughts and consideration that we had along the journey and at the end of this journey. And then we will finish with a final recap and of course opening the Q&A of this session. Before starting, I would like to introduce my colleagues here. Today with me there is Davide Ferraris from IBM, who is Customer Engagement and Design Practice Lead Italy and Design Director at IBM iX and IBM Consulting.
Hi everybody, welcome.
Martina Afrecameo from IBM as Enterprise Experience Design Practice Manager and Associate Design Director, IBM iX and IBM Consulting.
Hi everyone, welcome.
Professor Beatrice Villari, who is Associate Professor here in Politecnico di Milano and is co-director of the Specializing Master in Service Design here at POLI.design.
Welcome also from my side.
And there is me, I am Brian, I'm a service designer working in POLI.design and I am the didactic coordinator of the Specializing Master in Service Design at POLI.design. Welcome also from my side. So we are online, so first of all, please be patient. If there is a bit of delay or there is any technical problem, we are here working with people that can resolve it. For any question, please use the chat along the whole presentation, but especially we will open the Q&A session in the last part of the presentation. And of course, I wish from all of us to get comfortable and enjoy the content of this presentation. So let's start from the premises and the overview. So the reason why and the of the generative AI lab. So the Gen AI lab is as how we called this hands-on experimental didactic experience that we had in the context of the Specializing Master in Service Design at POLI.design, and was about, as you can imagine, the implementation of generative AI technology using, of course, the AI assistant within the design process and specifically the service design process. A journey that started back in March this year and was framed in the didactic activities of the Specializing Master in Service Design. For the ones that doesn't know POLI.design, POLI.design is founded by Politecnico di Milano, so we are within Politecnico di Milano and especially in the Politecnico di Milano design system. As you can see, POLI.design is the postgraduate school in design of Politecnico, and along with the School of Design and the Department of Design, it composes what we call the Politecnico Design System. Specifically, the Specializing Master in Service Design, or MSD, is one of the teaching program held and promoted by POLI.design and is a 12-month program entirely taught in English and entirely taught in presence here in POLI.design facilities that are within the POLI.design, the Politecnico di Milano Design Campus in Bovisa. It is a first-level master that guarantees to participants a first-level specializing master degree in service design and grants 60 CFU or International ECTS university credits. The timeline of the master, so basically the structure on how is it composed. The master, it has a first part of didactic activities, so that means that from January till mid-July every year we are in class and student will have all the learning modules about soft and hard skill in design. The Gen AI lab took place in this frame on the ongoing edition of the master. The second part of the master is what we call the field experience, so basically no longer classes, and participants can select among a few options to grant the field experience credit. They can select an international a curricular internship. They can go with a thesis-like project, what we call the professionalizing project, or in some cases they can also get a job contract and work. So basically this is the second part of the master that, as you can see, lead to the end of the curricular internship in January, and in the graduation day, the graduation ceremony and final exam that took place every year in February. The master in numbers, to recap and to give you an overview, the ongoing edition, so the ones in which took place the Generative Lab that we're going to discuss today, was the 12th edition. So that means that the master has 12 completed or almost completed edition, with more than 2020 students and alumni coming from 40 different countries. Specifically about the countries, so about the internationality, we would like to underline the value to be in presence in Milano, but with an international cohort of future service designers that come from, as you can see, almost all over the world. Now that you have the framework of the context in which took place the Generative Lab, I leave the stage to Professor Beatrice Villari to follow up.
Thank you, Brian. So, of course, the master in service design is based on the idea that service designers can contribute to the innovation panorama around the world, and increase and contribute to innovate processes, but also tools in institutions, in organizations, in communities, so to really contribute for a fair and sustainable growth. Since the past decades, service designers are asked to deal with more and more complex situations. So, but service designers deal with the different levels of complexity, and so we can design services such as human-based, human-centered solutions that are about interactions, are about experiences, and also to solve, to co-create value with companies, institutions, and communities as well. But then we are asked also to intervene in complex systems, to change some context and situation in which we can, as service design, contribute to modify, to change, and to innovate a broader context. So when we deal with such complexity, we deal with organizational processes, with technologies, and policies as well. But then in the past years, also service designers are dealing with much complex situations. So they are dealing, and we are dealing with this idea of transition. So in this idea of transition, we as designers and service designers need to be aware about the huge changes and the huge challenges that the socio-economical transition pose. So, for example, we deal with sustainability issue, but then we deal with technological change. In this scenario, the AI, of course, plays a huge and critical role. So this is the reason why we crafted together with the IBM team the idea of Gen AI Lab. So to explore how and why service designers need need to collaborate in a certain way with AI on how they can use AI in their processes. So this process engaged students, engaged practitioners, engaged researchers to create a dialogue and to explore in a safe space, to be honest, how we can use and we can adopt and we can embed AI while embracing such complex challenges. And why it is crucial to adopt such approach while we are in an educational program. So how can we create a stronger link between practitioners and people that are expert in AI, and how we can create a learning journey about how AI can contribute to service design practice, but also how service designers can contribute to develop AI challenges. This is why, because service designers now are working in different companies, organizations, public and private institutions, as service designers, of course. So while designing services and experience complex challenges, but they are also work on research. For example, they are involved in user research. They are involved in adopting or exploring different kind of service innovations in customer journeys. They are working within the business and with the businesses, but also crafting strategies, exploring strategies, and or exploring social issues in organizations. So with these roles and with these capabilities, service designers are related to different fields. And these fields are about consultancies, are about public sector administration, but also they are working within different sectors. For example, healthcare, education, banking, financial services, and all these sectors in which service designer with their different competencies and different roles in different kind of organizations, small organization as and large organization as well, they are dealing with AI issues. And AI in certain contexts is also having a disrupting role in terms of changing how practice are being explored, or as we practice as service designers, but also disrupting processes, disrupting way of coordinating different teams. So we decide together to explore and to envision possibilities on how to again create a better link between service designers and technology. To oversimplify what we have done, we based our reflections that was really co-created since the beginning between the Master in Service Design team and the IBM team. So thanks for that. So we based this experience on 4 pillars. First, we wish and we would love to educate future service designer to familiarize and become confident with generative AI system. And this is super important also for the career and also for our practitioner role. For sure, we would instill in the participants a critical sense, a critical approach, and a sense of consciousness about adopting and embedding AI in our practices and their practices. For sure, we would we explored the way on how to test and evaluate and refine what IBM is developing right now, and so again create this match to better understand how we can further collaborate together. But of course, on a wider perspective, we would love to contribute to service innovation, so to contribute in the innovation environment, also reflecting on how we can adopt a more conscious way to integrate human-centered and more than human-centered perspective together. So based on these premises, we launched the the lab. So I leave the stage to Dave.
Thank you, Bea. So before diving into the details of what we have done, let me set the stage for you. So first of all, you might know IBM as a technology company, and of course that is our heritage, but you might not know that design has always been a part of our DNA. It's since 1966, I think, that the good design is good business memo was circulated inside IBM, so that's part of our DNA. And today, with the IX brand, we spearhead all the projects that are basically design center, design driven. So this is what we have been doing in Italy and around the world, and these are some of our projects. So we are a consultancy firm, and we work for Italian and international clients. And you know, as designer, we want to start always with the why question and the who question, as Bea was hinting before. So basically, we started from a survey that our research institute conducted across geographies, and we interviewed 2,000 people in the design field. And basically, what the result is that the majority of them actually believe that generative AI is one of the most disruptive force that will impact the design field. But of course, one of the key learning that we wanted to bring to you today is that AI is not happening to designers, but for designers, if we can steer the conversation and be on the forefront of this revolution that is not only technological, is also cultural, it's social, if you want, in a way, as, by the way, it's every innovation in the technological field. And so why us? Because IBM and POLI.design has always been, you know, on the forefront of, you know, innovation, research, and design. So who better was to, you know, guide this pioneering approach? The goal was very challenging. We didn't want just to design solution. We were going to design how we design a better world. Very quickly, we are now, you know, in the agentic AI era. When we launched the lab, we were actually still in the generative AI era. So again, very quickly moving scenario, always changing, and us as designer are always called upon, you know, guiding this conversation. What we did when we started the lab was reflect about how the different phase of Gen AI adoption was impacting on the business and on the design community. So as you know, for every, you know, hype cycle, the Gen AI was not different. So when we started the lab, we were between 2024 and 2025. So it was a time where basically the pilot era was kind of ending, and we were seeing the scale up of lots of pilots in the business domain. And in terms of design, what we were seeing was that it was used, but very tactically on specific activities. And most of all, the promising land was the personalization of the service and experience field. We are now in the adoption phase of generative AI, but as you might know, now we are talking about agentic AI that basically has done a reset of the hype cycle. So we are back to the pilot area, if you want, and now we want to tackle that challenge as well. And as we were mentioning, designers are now called upon, you know, reimagining their own role inside the specific field of design and in the business and world outside. So again, just to reassure everybody connected, AI won't replace designers. I'm super confident about that. But, and there is always a but, designer who use the AI well, responsibly, structurally, will replace designer who don't. So that's why with POLI.design, we wanted to launch this lab, this experiment. Again, we started from a very hard reflection on how the designer role is changing every day. So the basic assumption is that now designer must work in a partnership with AI, with the machine, with a mutual collaboration. So the human can augment and empower AI models, and vice versa, AI can and must empower designer without replacing them. What we envision is basically a creative alliance between human designers and AI designers, where the designers are now called upon a new significant role shift and responsibility shift. So now designers are not only creator, we believe they are curator of whatever input we feed into the models, or whatever output the models will give us back. And this means that we are also data strategists in a way. So we must have oversight about whatever data, whatever information we are going to use to be sure, and this is the second big pillar of the new role of designers, is that we can be able to be guardians of all the ethics and inclusivity principles, and we are going to be able to bring the emotional intelligence piece, so, or the human in the loop if you want, in the process. And now more than ever, design is called upon and must act as a connective force between this complex ecosystem. And this is not something new. This is something that has been heightened by generative AI, and even more with agentic AI. So again, we are at the center of creativity, data, and technology. And technology and AI, more centrally, is the new component that we must be able to, govern and understand and use or collaborate with to do our job. And again, designers are in the middle of a duality. If we are going to focus on generative AI, on one side, on one hand, Gen AI and agentic AI is a tool, or even better, a colleague if we think about agentic AI. So something that we can use to, empower our creative process, being more effective, be more, able to quickly iterate and create efficiency. And on the other side, it's a building block. It's something that we must use to embed in our solution. That could be, services, ecosystem, or products. For the lab, for the sake of simplicity, for this first edition, we focused on Gen AI as a tool or a colleague, and this is what guided the, the project and the lab itself. And with this, I'm gonna leave the stage to Martina.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah.
So I would like to start by sharing the approach we adopted for the creation of this lab, led in the first half of 2025. So we grounded the experience on a very simple, but let's say also essential principle. It's not enough to use AI, but you must use AI the right way. And this means selecting the right technology and placing it where it can really add and create value. To do this, we analyzed the entire service design end-to-end process, identifying where the generative AI could enhance the efficiency or improve the quality of the outcomes. In total, we mapped over 24 service design practices. We select 14 of them, and we generated also 20 assistant, GenAI assistant and accelerator ready to be used by the students. So building on this foundation, we split the lab into 4 key sessions. So we began with an enablement session where we introduce how the role of designer is evolving when augmented by the generative AI. But also in this session, we trained the students with the GenAI tool they would use throughout the lab. For this lab, we selected ICA, which is an IBM internal and multi-model platform, which has been designed to support efficiency, but also streamline design activities in general. Then we moved to the first section regarding the inception phase, where the focus was on understanding the context, but also preparing for the research phase. First, we gave the students a fictional brief that was intentionally neutral and also scalable so it could apply to basically any domain and any industry. In fact, here the point was not the topic itself, but to enabling the students to use the AI as a, let's say, process enabler. In this session, in this phase, the generative AI supported many activities, such as the document definition, as well as the market analysis, trend analysis, but also preparing for the research phase. Then we move to the research phase, where the attention shifts to understanding people, including their motivation, their behavior, but also their needs. Here, the focus was on the research side, and the AI here supported many activities, such as the creation of the script for the observation activities and also the user interviews. But the GenAI supported also the personas creation, as well as the data analysis and insight extraction. This allowed the students to focus more on interpretation, while the generative AI handled the more operational layers. In the final stage, regarding the concept and the prototyping, the students work on the creation of the high-level concept as well as the final presentation. Here, the generative AI supported some envisioning activities, such as the high-level, for example, creation, the level concept creation, as well as the experience journey mapping. But the generative AI supported also some more operational tasks, such as the creation of the service blueprint, the storyboard creation, but also the fast prototyping. At the end, the generative AI was also involved to create the final presentation. So these slides highlights briefly the full journey, let's say, from the fictional brief to the high-level concept creation, but also from the team working class to the final presentation at the IBM Studios office in Milano. Last but not least, here you can find some numbers that highlights the scale, but also the impact of this lab. As mentioned before, the lab involved 24 participants, split into 4 groups, and guided by 6 faculty members. We worked more than 18 hours together, split into 4 different sessions. And the student here had the access to more than 30 pre-built GenAI assistant, experiences the potential of the generative AI applied to the service design process. So these numbers highlights something quite important. The student didn't just use AI, but they learned how to govern them, how to integrate them, and how to apply them in a ways that reinforce the service design method. And we think that this is the core value of the lab, combining the service design method, the design practices, and also the technology, in this case, the generative AI, to prepare the students for the realities of today design landscape.
All right, thank you. Now, as promised, we are going to share some final thoughts and key learnings that we think they are the most relevant at the end of this journey. And we will also share with you some consideration for the future, not only for us, but also for all the designers and non-designers present here today with us. It's important to think and to keep in mind that the premise was clear and the question that we posed to us as a challenge was bold but consistent. And it is the one that you see. So how might we design a creative partnership between human designers and non-human designers, the AI assistant that generates measurable value aligned to, of course, in this context, we are talking about the service design context and the one of the specializing master in service design and POLI.design, so what we call the sandbox, in which we, but also, and most importantly, the students could experiment and tinker with this assistant. Some of the thoughts that you are going to see right now are not new now because we are end of November. So some of them already are, let's say, commonly accepted, but take, let's say, seen from another perspective can take an added value given the specific framework and the specific context in which we proved. And of course, we had the chance to experiment and to test some of these evaluation that we have to share. We're starting with the ones regarding the service design process. And the very first one is unless explicitly prompted, AI is very good at getting an answer, as you already know that, rather than getting questions or critique human opinion. This is something that now is considered as a commodity. If any of you have at least once used any generative AI assistant, text or visual based, can agree with that. The focus here is on the service design process, in which the core contribution of designers is posing questions rather than only answer. And so it takes another meaning if you think regarding the process of service design about this. The second one is that AI, generative AI, but AI in general, is very good at crunching large amount of data and to extract insights or key findings. However, this generates the risk of losing the link with this insight. What do we mean? We mean that spotting these big dots, so the insights and the key learning, AI is super good and can process non-human amount of data. But when it comes to link those dots, those points, there is the human intervention, and we give value to the fact that, as Davide shared with you before, designers who use AI well will take the place of those who don't in connecting these links. The third one is about the well-known hallucination, sycophancy that AI tend to, let's say, to be served at the humans and also on the creative homogeneity. So we are still, let's say, identifying these problems, let's say, in the AI generated output, but using a structured design method can help designers to identify and also to mitigate the risk of those problems. So if we place the usage of GenAI assistant in a specific process, in a designed process, we can identify and mitigate those risks that, of course, exist and will exist in time to have.
So to also move on, I would also add a comment on that the process that we shared with you was always rich of feedback. So we asked participants, but we asked ourselves to give feedback while we were doing the step-by-step results, or when we were gathering the step-by-step insights. So also these overall comments are emerged from continuous feedback loops that we constantly had during the overall journey. And this helped participants to better understand and better reflect on how they were using AI, generative AI, and also for us it was super useful to question our roles, to question our practices, to question the way we were adopting and using AI. So having said that, we also, thanks to this experiment, we understood that adopting Gen AI can reduce the blind spots and enhance divergence in different phases of the design and the service design processes. For example, when you have a lot of interview protocols and you need to trace and to have and to connect all the dots, it can help to help designers in having a stronger link between the different stages, but also when service designers need to trace the decisions in each steps, also after months and after weeks that they work on, AI can help keep tracing the decision making in a more robust way. Also, when we decided to include AI in the teams, we didn't give a specific structure, a specific direction on how to use AI in the teams. But what happened that, of course, alternatively, some teams adopted and embedded the AI assistant as another team member. So they create dialogues, they try to adopt and to understand and learn another point of view while they had a tech member in the team. But in the same way, different for different purposes or different aims or adopting different tools, each team was supported or decided to be supported by a personal assistant. And it was interesting also observing the team dynamics while they adopted the different strategies. So what happened also that when participants adopted assistant in a personal way, of course, these strategies increase the complexity to find a common ground in a certain way. So the decision-making process, of course, become more complex. So while they had other perspectives in the team, they needed to consider this complexity, so they needed to revise the way of decision making in the team. And of course, these need to be designed in advance, so it can be improvised, for example. Please, Davide.
Martina.
Sorry, please, Martina.
Here's some other key learnings from a content and output perspective. So first one, we noticed that when the GenAI is not correctly prompted or fed with relevant data, we noticed that it tends to produce homogeneous outcomes across the 4 groups within the lab. This is quite important because it means that as a designer, we have to understand which are the most important data that should be put inside the generative AI platform, and also to gain and to have a strong skill regarding prompting engineering. Another one. So, as mentioned by Beatrice before, we noticed that the students used AI more as a personal assistant instead of a subject matter experts. And this means that as a designer, we also have to consider the best use cases where to use the generative AI different assistants. Not every design activity gave the same benefits, I would say. For some specific activity, the generative AI improve the speed. This was, for example, the reference for the storyboard creation. For other activities, such as the personas creation, the fast prototyping, and so on, it enhanced the quality. And again, it's as a designer, it's important to understand where to apply correctly the generative AI based on specific use cases. This is an interesting one. We think that some GenAI platform can do more on image generation, and this was the situation of that we experienced during the lab, and so there is a growth opportunity to do more on image generation, so, especially to solve hallucination and bias issues. The last one, this is my favorite one. We asked the students to use the AI as a process enabler, but we noticed that AI didn't propose to use the AI within the final solution. And as a designer, it's very important, as mentioned before by Davide, to take into consideration the dualism of the generative AI. On one side, as a let's say, process enabler within the creative process, and on the other side, as an asset for the final solution. Back
Cheers.
to you.
Cheers. So, what's next? We are designing the 2.0 edition of the lab. So, all we learned this year, thanks to the faculty and the participants, is being put to use to design the new edition. So we are here also to invite you to participate to the MSD 13 next year. And we have some, good proposition and idea that we are going to use to inform the next edition. So in terms of what, we are going to reflect about how the new capabilities of agentic AI could bring to the design and the service design process in particular. So again, we know that now is a commodity using agents that could be reasoning and could also execute complex workflows instead of us as designers. So this is going to be super interesting to explore. For example, for managing part of the user research could be delegated to AI. And let's imagine case where the participants doesn't speak Italian. This could be delegated to an autonomous agent. In terms of how, as Martina was mentioning, this year we basically focused our assistance in the service design field. So we basically created digital service designer, digital service design practitioners, instead of focusing them as subject matter experts. So next year, what we are going to do is try to create domain-specific assistants and agents. So let's imagine, for example, as I mentioned before, an interview expert or a copywriter or an SEO expert. So very specialized agents that could be acting as an additional team member with specific skills. Okay, this will open new possibilities in terms of quality and speed and capacity of the team. And last but not least, the where. As Martina highlighted, this year we tried to cover the end-to-end process, going from the inception phase to the high detail concept design. Next year, we are considering focusing on specific stages of the design process or specific activities, prioritizing the ones that are less mature, for example, or the most innovative ones, so that we can really push again the boundaries of what can be achieved in the design field. So these are our goals for this year, and I'm super excited about what we can do with agentic AI on our side. And back to Brian, I think.
All right, so we already mentioned the class, but we would really like to not only congratulate, but also thanks the class to have followed us in this pioneering experience, and also for the precious feedback that, as Beatrice said before, were precious and helped us along the journey and at the end of the journey to reflect on what we have done and how we have done and what we could improve in terms of content, but also in terms of the process. Then special thanks to Tiziana Tornaghi from IBM Consulting Italy, who is Italy Managing Partner, who enabled this collaboration. Federica Barberis, Asset Sale Leaders, and Daniel Soleimani Pur as a technical AI lead, because they were part of the faculty with Martina and Davide. With thanks also from POLI side, Kabir Kotela, the former CIO of POLI.design, who had the vision and activated this link. And thanks to Stefano Maffei, who is the scientific director of the Specializing Master in Service Design, who helped us to map all the service design process and give fuel to this, let's say, machine. As every time happened, we used to have an agenda and we already broke it. So I'm trying to super recap some important information for the ones who are here also because are interested into the MSD. So as David anticipated, the collaboration with IBM will be renewed in the upcoming edition. That means that there will be an upcoming edition of the master. It will start next January, as every year, as mentioned before. So if you want to join us, you can send directly your application to POLI.design.net at service design, or to ask more info to hello@POLI.design.net, or directly to me at my personal address. Now our colleagues are sharing with you these details in the chat. The process of selection at the master is still open up to, I think, a couple of weeks more. You can apply, you can create your application page throughout POLI.design website and Polytechnico di Milano website. Then there will be the bureaucratic assessment of your documents plus a qualitative interview with us, with the master board, to select and assess your enrollment. Then there will be, if everything is positive and the feedback is good, we can formalize the enrollment, and so you can take part to the next edition of the master. And of course, at the lab version 2 with IBM. Super thanks to all of you for staying with us up to this and to have followed us. Now I will take a few seconds to switch on the hardware to read the chat, and we'll leave room for your question throughout the chat, the open chat, or the dedicated Q&A session.
Thank you, Brian. And also Davide Martini as well.
Okay, so we have the first question in the Q&A session. I think could be for both of us. So
Okay.
I will read
four
it
of us.
and then we can decide.
The first,
hi
the
everyone.
first win.
Hi.
Hello.
I use AI daily as a designer and sustainability consultant.
Mhm.
The more I use it, the more challenges I notice, sometimes even slowing us down and leading us into the dark holes. So AI can distort qualitative insights, like interviews or open-ended responses, by reinforcing biases and stereotypes. How can we ensure we are not influenced by it and not losing complexity on human perspective? So we start like
That's a very, very good question.
So the question is how we ensure that these biases and dark holes brought by the AI does not influence us at the point to losing the, let's say, complexity of the human perspective.
If I may, I try to answer the part of the question, and please jump in. So first of all, I think that now with agentic AI, we have new capabilities that we could put in place. So let's stick a little bit to the Gen AI era. So step back. So with Gen AI, what we did during the lab, and what lots of participants did, was create assistants to double check the output of the previous assistants. Because as the person that asked this question understood, sometimes something doesn't feel right. So they created an assistant that actually was tasked to double check the output, and basically they ask, is this output coherent with the persona's design that I did before? So that was basically guardrail that was put in place. With agentic AI, actually this is even more easier, because part of the of the nice capabilities that agentic AI provide is we can create guardian agents that verify step by step that the process is coherent in terms of output and process. And at the end of the day, it's always, I think, a matter of keeping track of the creative vision and be the human in the loop in the process. And this is one of the risks. Over, relying on AI as an answer to every problem, and assuming the answer is always correct. So, yeah, I think that's part of the process.
Thank you. Want to add anything? Okay.
It's okay.
So we have another one that is, hello, great session. Thank you. Considering that agentic implementation are always more dependent on ethical components, do you think there will be a new role for social design in the coming future?
I take this one as well. Yeah. Again, super. I hope that all these people are going to join the next edition, by the way. So please subscribe. Yeah, I hope. Let's say I hope there's gonna be a specific role. I think we need that. Uh, I don't see as of now in the market this hype or this, new job. It might. I hope it's gonna be, officialized as a role. Uh, uh, Ethics is always been a concern for every technology. If you reflect back, AI made this concern very cogent and very real. Generative AI, accelerated this concern and these risks. And I agree that agentic AI will pose new risks because we are gonna delegate activities or entire workflows to the machine. So we need to have some guardrail and some control over the process. It could be delegated again to the AI with all the risk that is implied. And as we were mentioning at the start of the webinar, we strongly believe that designers are uniquely positioned to be the key role in guarding and overseeing this kind of process and activity. So yeah.
No, if
Yeah,
I can, yep, sorry,
sorry,
but
Ben.
go.
Between the human and the machine, but also I can see also now this direction within IBM. We have many trainings regarding ethics applied to the generative AI world. So I can see that this is something evolving,
Yeah.
especially over the last 3-4 months.
Yeah. And building up on that, let's remember that the ethics and diversity, it's everybody's responsibility. So it's not. I strongly believe in the Japanese ways of thinking, like total quality assurance. So every piece of the chain must ensure the quality of the overall process. So every member of the team is called upon, be the guardian of the ethics, inclusivity, and all these ethical concerns. So if everybody on the team will take a look, can add a new perspective, because we know that models are biased by definition because they are trained on whatever data they are trained upon. So we must be vigilant.
Yeah, if I can add a comment, I think it was very interesting to underline this idea of social design. Let's say something that is connected with human behaviors and human way of creating relationships, because also in the end, the services are about relationships. And although they are tech-based, the human relationships are super crucial in some services. If we think about healthcare, for example, okay, so you need to have important and crucial technologies that support the system, but in the end,
Or disrupt the
yes,
system.
or disrupt the system, but change and let's say and help the system transforming itself. But in the end, in the experience, the relationship with the humans are part of the service that are crucial. So while we match Gen AI or agentic AI in the system, and we also match the tech with the human perspective, something can be really new. And probably this idea of creating this loop of dialogues between academics and research teams in companies and organizations, but also people that can be and will be the designers of the future, can really help us in questioning what we are doing and envisioning new roles, new capabilities, new way of approaching AI or what we are doing in terms of what is the vision, what is the transformation that we would like to have. let's say, know what is the transitions back to the beginning of the presentation. What are the transitions that we really love to have? So I think that, thanks for the question. I think that this can fuel our way of working and discussion.
Absolutely. And this is a super exciting time, guys, to be in the design field, because we can start from scratch, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we got
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah, no, I think we can touch.
Yeah.
There is another one. Maybe it's more for us. This one. That is it possible to attend the lab even if I'm not into the master?
Would you like to reply?
Yes, I can go.
Please.
So if you mean while not being a student of the master, so this Gen AI lab and the second edition are designed and have been designed to be part of the didactic journey, which is greater and broader than only the, let's say, the lab itself. So to be, let's say, at the second at the second edition, we can call it, of the AI lab with IBM, you must be a master student. Still, we started to discuss on different possibilities, also to envision and co-create some other forms of open collaboration, also on from a co-creation, let's say, perspective. Okay, so if any one of you is interested only in this specific and not being part of the master, we can discuss it. So you can use the same contact that you have seen to reach us.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely.
Just-
Okay. Maybe there is another one super quick.
Yeah.
That's
The
perfect.
question is,
I don't know if it's quick. It might be quick.
It will be
It
quick.
might not be quick.
it will be quick. I promise.
Okay.
You can answer with only one.
So
word
I don't.
if you
So
want.
I don't. I mute myself. Okay.
So it is, what's the main AI skill we have to achieve as designers?
Oh, this was the quick one.
Yes.
Which was the long one?
Yeah,
You're-
something.
You're a
I mean, it's very. I think it's a very complex question. I don't know if I have just one answer right now.
I start not with the skill, but with the mindset, and this is something that we have been, bringing to Poly.design and Polytechnico recently. So I think first and foremost, even junior designers, they are kinda art directors from day one, because they are gonna be responsible of all the AI tasks, and with agentic AI, this is even more crucial. So they are gonna be managing AI agents that are gonna be acting as like their stagiaire or like junior designers. So they basically, every designer is an art director, So so it's a very, it's a topic of responsibility and managing skills. So this is not a skill; it's more of approach or point of view. But I agree, it's not a binary answer.
Yeah,
It's
I would say that it's important to know the Gen AI impact on the design world first, and then it's important to understand our role when it's augmented by the generative AI. So basically here we are saying that the generative AI is revolutioning the design landscape in two ways. One, on the creative side, so we need to understand where to use the generative AI within the workflow, the design process. And I think this is the main focus right now. We are in a very divergent phase where there are a lot of, information regarding how to use the generative AI inside the design process, but this is evolving in over the last months. So I would say that now the focus is more on the creative process side and
Yeah.
to understand how we can use the generative AI within the workflow.
Yeah, and while you were talking, I was trying to understand, think about what could be some pointers. So maybe it could be being aware of the capabilities of generative AI and agentic AI, being aware that there is no one model that's gonna fit every use case. So, and this is
Yeah,
what
as
you were
mentioned,
mentioning
yeah.
about the platform that we use during the lab. So the ability of being multimodal by design and testing different models for different use cases will provide the best results. So again, being open to experiment with different models, and yeah, maybe all the importance of curating the data and the output. So being not only prompt designers and being able to
Co-create
assistant
the
or
assistants,
agents.
yeah.
So that's, and maybe we must become vibe coders. I don't know. Maybe yeah, but being able to create our own assistants and our own agents will be one of the ingredients that we could deploy to avoid, at the very least, the creative homogeneity risk that we talked about. Because at the end of the day, if me and you and everybody is going to use the same stable diffusion model, the prompt will be pretty much similar at the end of the day. So the very high risk is that the four of us will present the same output to the same client, and he's gonna think, what the heck? I'm paying a designer or a mass market AI tool. So yeah, maybe being able to tinker a little bit
And be curious.
and be curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I want to add that we need to embrace discomfort.
Oh yeah, always.
And think about multi-layer solutions and complex solutions rather than let's say a small part of the system. But I think that we as designers now we really need to approach in terms of complexity and multi-layered system and solutions to better understand what we again would achieve in the future.
Yeah. But it would be interesting to ask the participant to the webinar what they think. Is the in the chat?
Yes,
Let's do a poll.
Because there are two different chats. One public, one the Q&A is full of questions, so we cannot answer to all.
I don't know if we have time.
Maybe one more question, then we can close.
A long one this time.
Thanks for this initiative. Thank you.
Thanks.
Are you planning to publish an academic article on this experience or some practitioner guidance on how to work with AI designers, step by step, good practices, things to avoid, and so on?
It's in our to-do list.
Yeah.
We spoke about it before the session. Yeah.
We are working on.
Yeah. And if I might add, this is something that for practitioners, that students or graduate students, this is something that lots of enterprises are looking forward. So we are, I'm not saying every day, but very often asked by clients to tell them how we use design in the creative process. So this is something that it's super in the to-do list. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you again all for being with us and to
Thank
stay
you.
late with us until now. Thanks to Martina, Davide, Beatrice.
Our pleasure.
For being with us. For the ones who are interested, we share with you all the contacts that you need and hope to see you soon.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you guys. Bye. Ciao.
Thanks a lot.